So here we are on leg one of our journey to Saskatoon. We started out at 11:30 this morning in Whitby with 6 people in our group. And let's see, we lost Grant in the lineup for security. And then Steve realized he left his phone in the truck and turned back. They turned Mark back at the gate because they didn't like the honey that we'd brought, and we had to go check it in at the airplane with Porter. And so basically, it's just down to me and James now. We started with 6, we're down to 2. Hopefully our group reconvenes at some point, but in the meantime, pray for us, and we'll give you another update as soon as we're on our way.
You want to grab a coffee?
Yeah, I'll get you.
I'll come with you. How's it going, Mark?
It's going good.
This is going to be the whole trip, by the way.
Okay.
How long is this flight?
About 3.5 hours.
3.5 hours?
About, yeah.
Okay. Do you know what flight path we're taking?
Yeah, we're going in the air and then landing on the ground.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. How I like to fly.
Yeah, start on the ground, then we go through the air, and then on the ground again.
Okay. Okay.
So here we are in Saskatoon. We're just got picked up by our friends at Tier Fund, and we're on our way to our hotel. And we're gonna have dinner together and then start talking about the trip up to Pelican Lake.
We just departed Saskatoon on our way for a 2-hour drive up to the Pelican Lake Reserve. Yeah, look how fast the fields are. I'll bet you the wind.
Here we are in Pelican Lake. We're on our way to
The Buffalo Pound.
the Buffalo Pound. We're on our way to the Buffalo Pound. We're going to participate in a sweat lodge, and then we're going to see the buffalo. Looking forward to it. We're all here in one piece. Still have 6 from Whitby, and we'll report back later.
Well, we're on our way back from our sweat. For most of us, this was our first one. Really cool experience. Opportunity to join together and pray, and an opportunity for us as Christians to hopefully honor the Lord by honoring other people.
Now, what was the sweat exactly?
What was the sweat exactly? So there was a built blanket. Well, it's a sweat house. A sweat house, a bit of a blanket fort, essentially, put up on sticks with a fire pit in the middle, which had multiple rounds of hot rocks brought into it, and then a bucket of water to steam it up. The door was closed, and it was completely dark in there. There was, I think, about 18 of us in there at one point.
Grant and Cheryl only made it 1 round, so then there were 16.
Yeah, and traditionally it's 4 rounds, which includes different songs and prayers, and they explained to us kind of what was happening and what they were planning to do, and it got very, very hot, and to its name, we absolutely sweated out. I think I lost about 5 pounds.
You enjoyed the experience?
Yeah, it was a really cool experience to dive into the culture and get an appreciation of something that's meaningful to them, and feel like, as I said, hopefully we're able to honor the Lord through being part of it.
So here we are at the house of the chief of the Pelican Lake Reserve on Friday night. We just had an amazing circle time, and me and Mark and James are sleeping in the teepee tonight.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah. Oh, and the fire just sort of blazed up a bit to kind of give us some lighting. Yeah.
This is nice. This is nice.
It's the first time I've ever slept in a teepee before.
I'm sure that's a first for all of us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty good
Well, this story is really a story that most of us in Canada were never taught. We were not taught it in our schools and growing up. And it is the story of what we did as a society and as a government to the First Peoples of Canada. What we did for almost 150 years was pass laws and policies that allowed us legally to round up Aboriginal children, to remove them from their homes and families and communities and everything that was familiar to them, and to place them in residential schools where they were away from everything familiar for weeks, sometimes months, and sometimes years at a time. There we had a primary goal, and it was to so-called civilize the so-called savages and to Christianize them and to do everything that we could so that over the course of time they would be fully assimilated into Canadian society and there would be what was deemed to be no more Indian problem. That's what we did, and we did it for decades and decades. The last residential schools in Canada closed in the 1990s, and throughout most of that time into the early 70s, the federal government contracted the churches to run the schools. Indeed, the first residential schools were set up and established by some of the Protestant and Catholic churches, many of them based in Quebec, who spread out across the country. And then these mission schools became eventually government-run schools and residences in the later 70s and 80s. And what we know now, thanks to the bravery and the courage of those little children who grew up to be adults and started speaking up about what had happened to them, is that those experiences not only were in and of themselves very traumatizing, but they happened in situations where the children were ripe for abuse in cases where there were any deviants in the midst. And it has left devastating impacts in the communities and in families, because many of those learned behaviors are the very ones that those children brought into their own adulthood, and then as the courageous ones are able to say, they did the very same things to their children in many cases as had happened to them. And so we are in the midst now of a really compelling national conversation and national opportunity to say we can't cling to our ignorance. It's true that most of us alive today had nothing to do with the schools and knew nothing about it. We're not taught about it. But it is also true that we live in the present, and we are the ones who will be responsible for the future. So we are all invited to have this enormous and I think compelling conversation about who we really are as a country, who we really have been as a country, and who do we want to be as a country. How do we want to live up to the values that we claim about ourselves throughout the world? And how do we provide proper redress and build meaningful relationships between the First Peoples, the Indigenous peoples of Canada, and all the rest of us who have come from so many other parts of the world?
Yeah, well, when I signed up to be in the teepee, I didn't realize that all 3 other people that are in the teepee will be snoring, but that's okay. We got through it. The crackle of the fire drowned some of it out. But no, it was overall not a bad sleep, and totally worth it to be able to be out here and engaged.
Sweet.
Oh boy, oh boy.
Yeah, you can see engraved in the pond's head.
Oh.
Yeah, just at a gas station filling up. I'm lying down because of reasons.
I'm tired.
No, I had to make room for them to get out of the door, but it's hard to explain.
Yeah. No, we're good.
is it normally open? Oh.
How you doing, Mark? Good. Really cool to see. Where are we? Currently, these are new homes that have been built for the elders or the knowledge keepers. And the lake, Pelican Lake, is just on the other side of those trees. You can maybe see it through there a little bit.
Yeah. I got a good shot over there.
Yeah. So Charles and some of the others will end up moving into these houses, and then there's plans for another 10 to be built here as well.
Nice.
I'm not sure yet. We've been given tobacco. And
What is tobacco used for?
tobacco is used as a way of asking to be invited onto land, and so you leave a bit of tobacco as a way of sort of humbly asking for permission to be here. That's how I understand it. And we're at the lake, and we're seeing the homes that are being built for the elders, and we're going to go do a water ceremony in a bit, and so the tobacco is part of that. So here we are at the buffalo paddock, just about to go in and see the animals. And Wayne, what were the numbers again? The herd was 20?
So the herd was 20 females and 2 bulls. Our hope was that many of the females were pregnant, but it's very hard to confirm. And amazingly, we had 18 calves born this spring.
Yeah.
So 18 what they call red dogs. They are born at approximately 40 pounds, and at the end of 1 year, 800.
Yeah.
That's a lot of grass to eat.
And you can see them out there just dancing around with their mamas. Yeah. All the little ones. It's pretty amazing.
Probably too far.
Yeah, so we're gonna go in and say hello.
Every aspect of the animal was used, and you've probably heard this on some of the other documentaries. So not only was it food, it was shelter, and it was medicine, because all of that, from the hoops to the horn, everything was used. There are very specific medicines that are used from the buffalo, like the horn itself, as a smudge for healing mental health issues. All the entrails, the intestines, everything. So it was more than just an animal. It was a life-saving creature for us.
We lost our identity, we lost our culture, we lost our families, we lost everything, we lost the buffalo. And now they bring hope in our culture, in our families.
We've received our bison, and our goal is to, reach 300 head of bison to sustain our community with food source.
Children don't know what was in the past, but this is the future. So now hopefully something that we can teach our younger generation. I feel that Pelican Lake First Nation is blessed to have buffalo be delivered to them. It's an honor to see buffalo on Pelican Lake First Nation.
So from a healing and a recovery of nations, bringing back the buffalo means a lot to us, because what that means then is we are regaining self-determination. We're regaining a vision and a purpose.
I thought the buffaloes were bad. They were lying.
They were good, and the buffaloes were actually really fast. That's my first time actually ever seeing a buffalo.
It's good that them buffaloes are back, even though they were almost killed off.
O great Father, the one who lives above us all, your name is sacred and holy. Bring your good road to us, where the beauty of the world above is reflected in the earth below. Provide for us day by day the elk, the buffalo, the salmon, the corn, the squash, and the wild rice. All those good things we need every day to feed our families. Release us from the things that we have done wrong. In the same way, we release others for the things that they have done wrong to us. Guide us away from selfish desires that tempt us to stray from your good road, and rescue us from that evil one and his worthless ways. Your good road, with its great power and beauty, will shine like the sun until the time beyond the end of all days. Aho.